Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, with today's show, I kind of wanted to deal with the Reclaimer a little bit, and then I want to talk about what I'm thinking the future configuration of my fleet is going to be on launch day. So, first off, with the Reclaimer, initially when I bought the Reclaimer, apart from the fact that it just looks so incredibly cool, in my opinion, one of the best looking ships in Star Citizen, just because it is such an unusual design for the Star Citizen universe, and just the idea of it being a salvage ship, and in my mind when I look at it, it just invokes like ships from the Aliens universe. So I was immediately sold on the ship. I just loved it. And so originally when I bought it, I was kind of looking at the ship's configuration because initially the weapons loadout on it looked really, really solid too. I mean, you got two unmanned size 5 turrets right up there in the front, and then you have a top turret which is which is manned in fact, but it's still a size 5 turret slot. And then you had 4 capital pylons which are currently filled with a point defense system. And so when I was looking at it, I was thinking, I could actually probably turn this into like a pirate ship, like depending on what I could fit on those capital pylons. That could actually be a pretty beastly ship. And of course, considering a lot of the ships that we had seen up to that point, it certainly looked like it outgunned a lot of ships. But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of like reasoned it out in my head. I mean, obviously the Reclaimer is not going to be a fast ship. I mean, there's nothing about this ship that says fast to me. It's probably going to be slow and ponderous, and to me it just seems like, even though I would love to, like, if they made a combat version of the Reclaimer, like let's say instead of the new Corvette they said, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the 890 jump, and we're going to take the Reclaimer, and the 890 jump is going to become a command and control ship. There's going to be a command and control variant of it, and there's going to be like an electronic warfare variant of the 890 jump, and we're going to take the Reclaimer and we're going to strip out the giant mechanical arm. We're going to put like two kind of almost spinally mounted rail guns on it, which would be about half strength to what the oh geez, now I love when the names of ships just fall out of my head, but the Idris, or like even like a quarter strength of that, or maybe even just mount like a large like quad turret underneath it and make it into some kind of gunboat, or maybe make another version that was strictly for AA and fleet defense. Like if they had done something like that with the Reclaimer, I would be all aboard. I would just jump all over that, a combat version, because I think the Reclaimer is just such an awesome looking ship. But the more I thought about like the Reclaimer as in the industrial ship, the more I realized, what, chances are this is probably something that really is only suited for industrial duties. And even though I would love to make a combat variant or make a combat version of it, I just can't really see that being in the cards, because generally, kind of taking a lesson from history, when people used to go out privateering, some of them would outfit merchant ships or schooners, things of that nature, and they would re-outfit them for combat instead of just running coastal, cargo or long-range cargo across oceans. They would fit them out for combat. They would chase down other merchant ships, take them over, and then take them into port, and then the prize court would hand them the money for the ship, depending on whatever nation they were working for, as long as they had their permits to do that. Otherwise, it was straight up piracy. But with those ships, at least with the successful ones, they generally obeyed the rule of being, in order to do this, you have to be able to outrun anything you can outgun. So, the less successful privateers, just, oh yeah, whatever, just put as many guns on it as you can and let's see what happens. Those guys probably didn't last too long, whereas the guys who generally took faster, more maneuverable ships, they could always outrun, whatever navy was chasing them, and still kind of take ships a prize and then take them into port and sell them. And so going back to the Reclaimer being kind of a big and ponderous ship, I just don't see it. I mean, it would just, I think it would be a logistical drag to use it as a combat ship in a fleet. I have no doubt, like, if you have a big enough fleet, then you can definitely use it as a supplemental combat ship. Something, if you could get the right weapons, that you could sit a little further back and protect the ship and just kind of like fire down range and hit enemy ships, then it would probably be pretty decent that way, but you would still need a pretty decent fleet to protect it. I mean, you wouldn't use it as the core part of your fleet. And so the more and more I thought about these things, the more and more it seems that the new Corvette is just kind of is taking over my mind. And it's at this point I'm looking at the Reclaimer and I'm saying, there's no way I'm going to sell it, because the Reclaimer is just too effing cool to look at, and just the idea of just salvaging ships and grabbing ships with the giant mechanical claw. I mean, I'm sorry, all hail the claw. I can't wait. But yeah, that has been kind of the driving force behind my more or less making up my mind that unless the Corvette is just a complete, it just falls on its face for whatever reason. That's kind of my thinking, because that I'm going to get a Corvette. It's just because originally I kind of looked at the Reclaimer, I was like, I'd love to use that as a combat ship, but I just don't see it being viable. Not with a pirate lifestyle and having to be able to run and gun. I don't think it's going to work out that way. Now, finally with this video, I want to talk a bit about my plans for the future. Now, I've been really kind of building my hangar to the point that, or more or less with a strategy that if anything major changes, that I can basically melt everything and rearrange my hangar and still be able to basically pick up the ships that I want, hopefully, as long as all this, the sales are available. But of course, next November we're going to have the big anniversary sale, and everything is on sale in the anniversary sale, so I should be able to pick up just about everything I need. But looking forward, I'm thinking that my final fleet build is probably going to be, like, in the ideal, is going to be one fighter, one bomber, the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer is just a solid spot. I'm never going to get rid of that thing. That thing is just too awesome. And then possibly, depending on how things work out, the new Corvette. Now, for the fighter, right now, the front runner is the Sabre. The Sabre is just too effing solid right now. And so that would mean, getting rid of, Super Hornets and whatnot. But those would obviously go to fund, the Corvette, theoretically. That depends on the Corvette. But the Sabre, I think, because of the stealth aspect of it, and the fact that I plan to play as a pirate, then the ability to move around unseen is going to be a critical asset to have. Now, next up for the bomber, I mean, I don't really want the Retaliator. I just don't see the point of it. It's too big. There is, of course, the Gladiator, but once again, I'm not too enthusiastic about the Gladiator. I mean, it looks like a good ship, and I have no doubt that it'll be a good ship, but really what I'm thinking right now is, because since I have the Vanguard, and I already have the Sentinel Battlefield Upgrade Kit, which gives me E-War, Heavy Fighter Long Range, and I also can then go pick up the Harbinger Battlefield Upgrade Kit, and then get a bomber, and a fairly capable looking bomber at that. That gives me everything all in one. And I've also picked up, because they were free, and I mean, technically they're still free right now, I've picked up the one-for-one exchange to swap the Redeemer to the Vanguard and the Vanguard to the Redeemer. So I've got, like, I think 4 or 5 of those of each sitting around, so I can swap back and forth to the Redeemer depending on how the Vanguard thing turns out. But the fact that there's also like a bomber version of the Vanguard, I'm thinking that the Vanguard is going to be a keeper. I'm hoping that CIG is going to, let us know what their plans are for the Vanguard and what changes they're going to make to the Vanguard are, but I'm thinking the Vanguard is going to be a keeper. So I'm definitely going to be championing the Vanguard in the future. Of course, the Reclaimer, large-scale moneymaker, that's a given. And then possibly the new Corvette. Now, if the new Corvette turns out to be a dud, or turns out to be something that as soon as you look at it, I'm just like, no, absolutely not. It just ends up being something that I totally don't want or totally don't need. Like, let's say it's only command and control or something like that. Then, no. Then I will probably stay closer to the configuration that I have now. But if not, then I'm going to get rid of my, Super Hornet Wingmen, and I'll just keep those cheapy game packages that I picked up when they were like $20, and I'll use those to basically fill in crew spots on my larger ships whenever I need to fill them up, whenever I can't find someone. And if not, I'll just keep my 2 Super Hornet Wingmen to basically be the front line for my Saber to set people up, and we'll go from there. But I'm thinking right now that is going to be my fleet build, is the four ships. It's going to be the Vanguard, all 3 versions, is the bomber. The fighter is going to be the Saber, Reclaimer for moneymaker, and possibly new Corvette as capital size combat ship. And I think that's what it's going to be right now. Of course, as I think about this and as I labor over this in the future, we'll see what happens. But right now, I think that that's the way my ship loadout is going to look come launch day. Of course, things can change, and they usually do. So anyways, that's about it for the Piracy Show. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.